What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tierfon Orbital. So this is going to be a relatively quick demo video for an install that I completed on a TFU2 from Sabers. I actually just did a couple of these. I've done a couple of them over the past month. I've done more of these in the past month than I have in my whole install career. And I'm not complaining because this is a great hilt. It really, really is, right? So I initially installed this with the intention of keeping it in my personal collection. However, I have started offering hopefully my camera is cooperating in these videos because it hasn't been lately. I did this with the intention of having it in my personal collection. However, I also offer these as fully installed kits, right? So after posting this, I had a bunch of people ask if it was available, and I just put it on the lightsaber buy and sell group or whatever, and it actually has since been sold. So this one's spoken for. So this demo will also serve as a demo for the person that purchased this hilt, right? I love doing these. I'm really proud of the chassis that I designed for it. So I actually am doing one right behind this one as well, because I actually I do want to have one in my collection, but it seems like folks really do dig it. So anyhow, we're not going to come into Fusion because I feel like I've done that a couple of times already recently, right? So I'm not going to waste everyone's time and come into Fusion and talk about the chassis. However, we are going to come up top and do a quick demo, talk about how to use the hilt, talk about the chassis a little bit, and then we will put a blade in it and get out of here, right? So with all that out of the way, let's come up top. Okay, so here it is. This is the TFU2 from Sabers. So does have a newer version of this hilt that has recently dropped with a larger pommel. I'm not quite sure. I think it does have different switches as well. So I'm not sure if it has the same internal dimensions as this one. However, this one I really love. I actually really prefer this one. I prefer the look of the pommel on this one. So it's just a really, really great hilt. Okay. So I went about weathering this myself. So I've put some gouges in the emitter, or in the shroud rather. The entire hilt has been weathered. Weathering these is a little tricky because I think it's like a clear anodization that is on these parts. It will take aluminum black. However, when I do the weathering on these, I like to take like a scouring drum and Dremel to everything, just to make it look a little bit like matte, just to remove some of that anodization. And then, of course, it'll take aluminum black a heck of a lot better when you do that, right? So some gouges in the pommel. Everything's been weathered. So these switches are actual brass switches. So the last TFU2 that I did, I think I mentioned in the video that the switches that are included with this hilt are they're like maybe brass plated aluminum, or maybe just brass anodized aluminum switches, which they're okay, but if you're weathering them, I just don't like the look of them weathered. So these are actually real brass switches that I designed and then had printed, and then I went back and patinaed them. So there's that green crusty patina on the inside that you can really only get with real brass. Okay, so those are real brass switch hats. I really wouldn't call this a glass eye, but the greebly up here has also been weathered. I added a clear cap to this with a piece of hex mesh brass on the inside. I'm going to include the red ruby glass eye that comes with the hilt as well, obviously. But when I did this for my personal, I just really wanted to have a clear one in here just to make it look a little bit different. So that is what's in here. This also serves as your blade retention. So there is a cap in here that will push into the blade, make it a little bit easier to hold your blade in place without having to get like an Allen key out to tighten the set screw. Okay, the black leather was done by me. This wrap style, it was inspired by my dude Benji over at Nerf Herder Customs. He does his wraps like this for his SKs or his TFU2s. I absolutely love the way that this wrap looks. Benji does them a hell of a lot better than I do. His look so freaking good. So this is my feeble attempt at doing that. This is real leather, and then I treated it with some mink oil after the fact to make it feel a little bit more supple and condition it. But yeah, that is what that wrap style is, right? This is a Nerf herder style wrap, okay? And then, of course, like I said, that pommel has been weathered. Whoops. Pommel's been weathered as well. So let's take a look at this chassis. To get at your chassis, you want to unthread the grip. Okay. So there is that chassis. This is a crystal reveal chassis. It does have a magnetic door with an acrylic window. Okay, this is held in place with some neodynium magnets. All right. And there is a brass battery cover as well. And that is it. There are also some brass greeblies in this. So there's like a brass, both of them are like brass vent greeblies. I did a pass of pewter rub and buff on this chassis, and then I painted some of the accents in here. Okay. Proffie V3 build. It's that chunky Obi-Wan Camino font.
Jedi Knight Dargan Gera.
All right. So I'm going to leave the grip off when we come down to the bottom here. Okay. So there's that. All right. So there's that crystal chamber. That was a Daft Punk font. So this has obviously been set up with, let me turn this off so you can get a better look at the crystal chamber. There's that magnetic door. Okay. So this has been set up with my personal config, and it also has a bunch of fonts on it, right? So I'm not going to the person who purchased this, I'm going to put a regular stock font config on here. I won't be shipping it out with this exact font config, just so you're aware. So the fonts that are on here now are my personal fonts. I put a Daft Punk font on here I was very curious what it sounded like, and it did not disappoint, right? So there's that glass eye up front with some mesh behind it. I don't know if that's going to come out on camera. One of my favorite sounding hilts, too. This one. Let's put a blade in it. So one of the things I'm neglecting to mention, this, because it started out as my personal, I have sleeved this to accept a 7/8 inch blade. So from factory, from Elf, this is a 1 inch blade holder, but it will take a 7/8 inch blade now, right? So just be aware of that to the person who purchased it. So I put my blade in. Let me loosen this retention. If you don't want to use, if you don't want to use this as your blade retention, you can obviously use that set screw that is around back. However, the red ruby of this does not have that extension. So if you're using that, you're going to need to use that set screw. Okay? So tighten that glass eye, and you're ready to go. Let's see what else we put on here.
The Force Unleashed.
So these are from my dude Keenan over at K-Sith. He recently updated his Star Killer font package, and they both sound great.
The Force Unleashed 2.
Sounds so good.
Star Killer.
One more.
A Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense.
One more.
Master Windu.
So that's it. That's the TFU2 from Elf Sabers, installed with a Tierfon orbital hybrid chassis. This is a fantastic hilt. And there goes that glass eye. This is a fantastic hilt. I am a big fan of this one. Obviously, I'm doing another one for myself now. And I'm still going to have these offered on my website, right? So if anyone wants one fully installed, you'll get everything. You'll get the hilt, you'll get the chassis, you'll get the install. Everything will be good to go, right? So anyhow, to the person who purchased this hilt, thank you very much for your support. I will be getting this in the mail to you after recording this video. If anyone has any questions about the hilt or the chassis, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.